In this video, I'm going to rank every single mythic from Fortnite Reload from worst to best. This list will include every single mythic so far that has appeared in the Fortnite Reload game mode. This video is being recorded before Reload Chapter 6 Season 3 comes out, so inevitably, I think this list will probably be missing a couple, whatever mythics come out with that new update. This is my first Reload video on the channel, and if you guys want to see more of this type of content, be sure to leave this video a like, use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop with that brand new battle pass, and yeah, let's get right into this ranking. At number 21, far and away the worst mythic in Fortnite Reload's history, it is Ocean's Bottomless Chug Jug. This is just the old version of the Chug Jug, right, where you can't move, you have to sit still for 15 seconds, right? We know Reload is an active game mode, there is always action 24/7. You're never gonna have 15 seconds to sit down and hit this healing item, right? Like, look, I know it's an unlimited healing item, but you're just not gonna have time, right? Like, I think you're better off just taking 6 minis and just going to fight people. I honestly don't think this item is worth it. My number 20 spot is Thorn's Scoped Burst SMG, right? And you guys know how difficult it is to find mythics in Fortnite Reload, right? Like, they truly feel like extremely rare items, and you gotta be so unlucky. Out of all the items you could possibly get, you get Thorn's Scoped Burst SMG. I mean, that just sucks. It's not a bad weapon, but you gotta remember this list is stacked with some of the best Fortnite items in history, and this weapon just doesn't stand a chance. And in a very similar spot, at my number 19 spot, is Hycard's Havoc Suppress Assault Rifle. Look, in a vacuum, I don't think this is a terrible weapon. I don't think it's great at all, but this list contains literally the best mythics this game has ever seen. And honestly, maybe you could make the argument to put this 1 or 2 spots higher, but nothing higher than that. This is a bottom feeder mythic in Reload. At number 18 is Gunner's Stinger SMG. This is a mythic that way back in the day in Chapter 3 used to be really insane. Then they nerfed it, nerfed the damage. It's got crazy recoil now, and that's honestly what holds it back from being any higher on this list, is just that recoil is out of control. Anything past like really close range, this weapon's gonna be useless. And yeah, evidently, I think there's 17 other mythics in Reload you're better off with. And one of those at the number 17 spot is Midas's Drum Gun, right? Don't be fooled by it saying that this is the OG version of Midas's Drum Gun. This is not the 250 DPS version of Midas's Drum Gun from Chapter 2 Season 2's launch. This is essentially the Jules's Drum Gun from Chapter 2 Season 3, where you've got that 204 DPS with the slower fire rate. Look, like, obviously, it's not the crazy overpowered version of the Drum Gun, but I think this is one that most of the time you're probably going to take. It's a pretty significant upgrade over the regular loot pool weapons. And again, it's a weapon that I don't think you're really going to complain when you find it. At number 16 is undoubtedly the hardest weapon for me to rank on this entire list. It's actually the Mythic Goldfish. So I've used this thing a couple times in Reload, and it feels like it should be the strongest item of all time, right? I mean, it just taps somebody one time and it incinerates them, everybody just dead that gets touched by the Mythic Goldfish. But I feel like in practice, like when you use this item, it's not really that good. It just feels like that range is incredibly unforgiving in terms of like the, I guess I'll call it explosive radius. Like, you truly do have to direct hit them. If it's, 1 foot off to the right or to the left, you're not getting any radius. It's not going to count. And the worst part is it just drops the Mythic Goldfish right there. So if you miss, that person can just take the goldfish and then use it against you. So you really have to line up a super accurate shot for this thing to be good. But obviously, if you can do that, you are going to insta one tap somebody. So that's what made it so hard for me to rank. I don't think it's a top tier mythic in Reload by any stretch of the imagination, but it still can be and has potential to be unbelievable if you're accurate with it. It's a classic high risk, high reward situation. At number 15 is Meowscles Mythic Assault Rifle. Look, this is a weapon that I'm not crazy high on, or at least not as high on as a lot of other people, it feels like. There's basically just one rule when you're using this weapon at assault rifle range. You just can't fully auto it because the bloom is horrific, and that's to be expected with the heavy assault rifle, obviously. If you do know how to use this weapon and, you tap fire it, you manage that bloom, you are going to get crazy damage numbers. This thing hits like a truck. And I feel like now we're at the point of the list where if you see these items on the ground, you're going to take them over your base loot. Even if they may not be the best mythics, they're still a significant upgrade from, your regular assault rifle. And yeah, in the right hands, this thing can easily be a top 10 mythic in Reload. My next 3 spots, I've actually got a slew of burst assault rifles. So we'll start at number 14. That's going to be Sloan's Striker Burst Rifle. This is Sloan's version with the scope on it, the red dot sight. I think it's just kind of pick your poison here, right? If you go by the numbers strictly, Sloan's Burst Assault Rifle, which will be a couple spots higher than this one, has a higher DPS DPS by about 50. That's a significant margin, but obviously it's got bloom, whereas this version, Sloan's Striker Burst Rifle, has the red dot and you could be incredibly accurate. So honestly, I think it's just kind of pick your poison here. For me, I've got it at 14, but you can move it a couple spots higher. Number 13 is Ocean's Burst Assault Rifle. Now, this weapon has numbers almost identical to the weapon that I just talked about. So again, it's like, do you like the scope on the weapon? Do you not like the scope on the weapon? It's honestly personal preference with these two. You can flip them. Like I just said a couple seconds ago, these are weapons that you find them on the ground, you're going to take them. They are very good assault rifles. And rounding out my burst weapons at the number 12 spot is Sloan's Burst Assault Rifle. This is the non-scoped version of Sloan's, the one that does 39 damage a shot. That is unbelievable. With a DPS of almost 200 for a burst weapon is unreal. Just crazy damage output. You can literally two-burst somebody easily. I would go as far as to say this is one of the best assault rifles in Fortnite history, and yeah, you gotta take this thing if you see it. Number 11, I'm gonna go with the Enhanced Infiltrator Pump Shotgun. Look, like, it's a good shotgun. It's not anything crazy. It's definitely not terrible. I think it's at a fair spot in this list. Honestly, just 50%, smack dab right in the middle. And I think, you know, in the right hands, you're gonna see people tear up lobbies with this weapon, but I don't think it's overpowered where you can give it to the worst player and they'll also tear up lobbies. It's a decent shotgun. I really don't have anything else to say about it. Now we are inside the top 10, and guys, I'm telling you, these are some unbelievable weapons and almost impossible for me to rank. But at that number 10 spot, I'm going with Sky's Scar. This assault rifle is truly unbelievable. Like, the Scar never needed a buff in Chapter 2, Season 2. Of course, they ended up giving it the mythic version that is Sky's assault rifle with a faster fire rate, more damage. I mean, this thing's unbelievable. Crazy high DPS. You're just gonna shred through builds. You're gonna shred through people's shield. It can be used as an assault rifle. It can be used at close range due to that good fire rate. And honestly, I really don't have anything negative to say about this weapon. It's just an all-around really, really good weapon. I think it's beaten out by its Chapter 2, Season 2 counterpart, Brutus's minigun, at the number 9 spot. Honestly, again, these are two weapons that were really difficult for me to rank. I think they're honestly interchangeable. It comes down to personal preference. Do you prefer, you know, the kind of heavy weapon, just go in, spray through walls, jump into people's boxes, or do you prefer maybe the more accurate Sky's assault rifle? I just feel like the pressure that you can create with Brutus's minigun is unbelievable. It's a weapon that truthfully doesn't need any explanation, so you know what, I'll cut it off here. But it's one of those weapons that, you know what, if you hear it in the lobby, everybody is going to, you know, go chase after because they want it themselves. And my number 8 spot is Kit's Charge Shotgun. I feel like this weapon in the grand scheme of Fortnite weapons is criminally underrated and doesn't get enough talk about potentially being one of the best shotguns we've ever seen. First of all, over 200 damage on a headshot. That's really all you got to hear. You can just eviscerate somebody. That is always going to make it rank highly on any list it's on. And look, people stay away from this weapon because they don't like the charge mechanic. I totally understand that. But once you become good with this weapon, you really know how to use the charge mechanic and, you know, when you should be editing and when you should be charging up the weapon versus not. It just becomes an unbelievable weapon in the best hands. Like, I remember watching Zemi gameplay of Kit's Charge Shotgun. It's just every single shot is just 120, 130, 140. Shout out Cypher PK, because when this thing came out in Chapter 2, Season 3, this guy was all over this thing and everyone was ripping him for it. But it is truthfully an unbelievable shotgun. Moving on to number 7, I've got my first mobility item on this list. It is Sky's Grappler. So at least in my opinion, and I think a lot of you guys watching this video will agree with this, I think mobility items in Reload hold significantly more value than they do in Public Battle Royale, especially if you're playing Reload with friends, right, and everyone's dead, you need to stay alive, right? You need mobility items. If you go watch any of the really, really talented Reload players, they always have mobility items in their inventory at all time, right? They've always got shockwave grenades, and I just think mobility items are incredibly valuable in this game mode, and that will reflect in my rankings coming up. Sky's Grappler is infinite mobility, right? Like, I don't think there's anything else for me to say. You don't get great range like you would with Jules's glider gun, but again, infinite mobility, you really can't complain about it. It is a little bit easy to get picked off when you're using Sky's Grappler, but if you use it correctly and you can zigzag, yeah, this is going to be a great mobility item for you. But I think a better mobility item is Kit's Shockwave Grenade Launcher, which is at my number 6 spot today, right? Everybody knows how good shockwave grenades are, right? There's no question about that. So then when you make a weapon where you can hold 3 times the normal amount of shockwave grenades, yeah, I mean, that's insane. This weapon's one problem is that it uses rocket ammo, but in Fortnite Reload, right, when you're bouncing around, you're killing everybody, it's not that difficult to find refreshes on ammo. It's just so good, and honestly, I think you could make an argument for it to be maybe 1 or 2 spots higher up on this list. This is one of the best mobility items we've ever seen. I think it is slightly beat out though at my number 5 spot by the Ageless Champions Shockwave Hammer. Truthfully though, any of the weapons in my top 5 or even top 6, right? You could throw Kit's Shockwave Grenade Launcher in there, could honestly be at the number 1 spot. That is how closely tight in competition these mythics are. The Ageless Champions Shockwave Hammer is one of those weapons where, like I said earlier, you hear it in the lobby, everybody just focuses that person because they want to kill them and they want to get their hands on it. Unreal mobility, infinite mobility, and that is why it's so high up on this list because, yes, while Kit's Shockwave Grenade Launcher ammo isn't the biggest problem, it is still an issue to consider, especially when that zone gets small. You're going to run out of rockets at some point, whereas the Ageless Champion Shockwave Hammer is infinite. You just have a slight cooldown. I love this weapon so much. It is so fun to use in Fortnite Reload, especially because, you know, I play a lot of public battle royale, and this thing hasn't seen the light of day since Chapter 4 Season 1. I pray that it'll come back in public battle royale at some point, but until then, I'm stuck using it in Reload. Another Chapter 4 weapon at my number 4 spot is going to be the Enhanced Havoc Pump Shotgun. It is the best pump shotgun we have ever received and arguably the best shotgun of all time, maybe in the top 3. That's as far back as I think you could push it. It's just unbelievable. Every time you shoot this weapon, you're going to do huge damage numbers, one-shot headshot. It's basically like Kit's Charged Shotgun, but with slightly less body damage and not having to charge the weapon at all. It's just got a great pull-out time. It's got a tight pellet spread, so every time you hit, you're hitting big. If you see this thing on the ground, you pick it up, you're basically going to win the game. It's that simple. But a crutch Fortnite Reload item at my number 3 spot is Jules's Glider Gun. This thing is unbelievable. I remember my first time ever finding Jules's Glider Gun in Reload, and as soon as I used it twice, I was focused by literally 8 players, and everybody just followed me until they would kill me. That's how truthfully valuable this item is. It's got unbelievable mobility range, right? Like, it feels like you can grapple onto anything. You're able to cancel out that glider animation, and it is true infinite mobility. There's no cooldown, no nothing. In my opinion, it is the best mobility item in Fortnite Reload, and I don't really think that's going to be a hot take in the comment section. I think most people will agree with me on this one. Maybe you guys think I should put it even higher. And one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make for any ranking video at my number 2 spot is going to be the Overclocked Pulse Rifle. I couldn't decide whether I should put this at the number 1 spot or the weapon that's at that spot at the number 2 spot. They are so close together, it's unbelievable. This weapon is so good. I've talked about it in a few of my recent videos, so I'll keep it very brief here. You find this weapon on the ground, you are going to win the game. Unbelievable close range, unreal long range, especially in a game mode where it feels like people are just flying all over the place with mobility. You need an accurate assault rifle, and that's what you're going to get with this weapon. No bloom when you aim down sights, just pick people off 50, 60 damage while they're in the air, and it's honestly unfathomable that it's not at my number 1 spot today, but what weapon is? At my number 1 spot today, could it have been anything else but the Foundation's MK7 assault rifle? I think this weapon is widely regarded as the best assault rifle in Fortnite history. And look, it's not in its prime, right? It has received multiple nerfs. It's got much more recoil now than it did back in the day when it launched in Chapter 3. But still, this thing is an absolute machine. An assault rifle with a fire rate of almost 10 should not be able to exist. That's going to give you a DPS of over 200. It just melts people. Like, there's no other way to say it. It just incinerates people. And could you have put the Overclocked Pulse Rifle at this spot? Yeah, you could. Those assault rifles are so closely knit together. But for me, I love that red dot sight. I'm a sucker for it, and it's one of the reasons why it's at my number 1 spot today. All right, guys, that's it for my first Fortnite Reload video on the channel. The first of many, hopefully. You guys, in all my comment sections, seem to really want to see more Fortnite Reload content, so here it is. If you want to see me rank the best exotics in Reload, I will definitely do that for you guys as well. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about my ranking, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace.